is a presentation of Zagnif Productions, LLC.
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey gang, how you doing? How you doing? And how are you doing? We are live once again from Zagnif. I am your guy, Mr. Fingers, coming to you from Zagnif, and that guy right over there, he is Colin P from the DMV on the internet talking UGA football with me. How you doing, bro?
Oh man, doing good. A little bit of a scare this weekend, a little bit, but all in all, good weekend for Georgia sports, man. You know what I mean? We had the little fight, the Falcons won. We pulled one out. So I mean, other than that, can't be pretty good weekend so far. How about yourself? You do anything fun?
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. You know, I didn't do anything. I did. You did. And when I say I did
Yeah.
little to nothing, I mean I did little to nothing. This is the first weekend I barely did any yard work. I did go to karaoke on Friday. Shout out to our Circles crew down the street in Oklahoma City, in the heart of Oklahoma City, every Friday, Saturday night. We get down there, we cut up, we do our thing. But that was it. That was the most of what I did. I went once, did a little something. But other than that, man, I didn't do jack. I did jack. I'm in a step contest at work, and I must have maybe 15 or 16,000 steps in over the weekend. That was it. Like for the whole trip, like Friday night when I got home from karaoke, so Monday morning. And normally I get in 15, 16,000 steps a day, but that was about it. I'm on probably in a couple days, maybe more than little surprise co-workers, do something nice for them. But that's about it. That was my weekend, bro.
Well, you're talking about steps. Remember how I just told you off camera here, like your boy had to walk off a little steam because about watching the dogs. They were kind of making me a little upset. So I set off on a little bit of a trot, not a little trot, little stress relieving walk. I ended up walking to your old stomping ground, Finnegan's. We used to do that old karaoke thing. So about 3.2 miles or something like that. That's a lot for your boy. And I was averaging around 3 miles an hour, which I mean I wasn't strolling, but I wasn't doing too bad. But that's about the most exercise I've gotten in quite some time, my friend.
Yeah, man, we get old, bro.
I know.
We are getting up there.
My legs, man, both cheeks were hurting. I had a little bit of a shin splint action, not too bad, but I mean, I was definitely feeling the next morning, Sunday morning. I was walking like an old man, that's for sure.
Bro, look, man, I hit the gym Monday through Friday. I try to stay in some sort of shape. You feel me? I try to stay in some sort of shape. And every time I call myself trying to stay in some sort of shape, I always wind up hurting because I am hurting like George Burton for certain today in that gym. And if y'all are wondering what's going on right now, just trying to put a few shares out there so people can see the show. If you see this in your feed, make sure you go ahead and give that a like, give that a share, give that a give the page a subscribe.
because we appreciate anything that we can get in terms of your support. Let's see what we got going on here. Where's that other one I'm looking for? There's a couple of them specifically that I was told that we had permission to post in. So shouts out to, where is it? Is that it? No, that ain't it. SEC conference. SEC Super Conference. I don't know where it went. I have no idea where it went, but there's a couple of groups that, there we go. Conference. Anyway, it's out there. So, hey, how y'all doing? We're here and we're not going anywhere. So Colin P and I are getting ready to get into this thing. So we appreciate you guys tuning in and watching us today. I got to get better sound effects. I say that every week. I got to get better sound effects. So let's just go ahead and get right on into it, man. Let's hop around the horn in the SEC and talk about some football action, man. It was a weird weekend. It was a really weird weekend for football in the SEC. We're not gonna go with the obvious one first. We'll start our way down at the bottom and work our way up. And when I say the bottom, I say that I basically mean at the bottom of the page. So don't take any offense. We don't want anybody coming at us and comment saying, "Hey man, you dogging our team. That ain't cool." It's nothing like that. It's nothing but love. Let's go with Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt is still kind of very much in the hunt. 2-2, but they lost to UNLV. Lost to UNLV, who is 2-1 on the season, 37-40. Heartbreaker of a game. The Commodores Clark Lee really did a great job getting these guys hyped up and ready to play some ball this year. So I've gotten to the point where it's not fun to tease Vanderbilt anymore. It's not fun to tease Vanderbilt anymore. I want to see Vanderbilt succeed. Now, I don't want to see them succeed at our expense, but I want to see Vanderbilt succeed. And it's always like they're always so close. They're so close to get so far away. 3-point loss to UNLV in Las Vegas. AJ Swan, 335 yards and 3 touchdowns. That boy is something else.
He is. Absolutely. And like you said, man, they're on the cusp. I mean, it's like it's kind of like they're on the upswing, but they're not quite there yet, But yeah, I thought they had this game, to be honest with you. I thought they had it. They came back. I think they were down a little bit, weren't they? And then they came back roaring back.
Yeah, they went into the locker room down by 3, and then UNLV came out and hung another 10 on them. And they had a 20-point fourth quarter, but it was not quite enough to get them where they needed to be.
Like you said, though, AJ Swan, 335 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pickle. That boy balled out. I mean, that's insane. They're receiving, man, at 337 yards receiving. You had London Humphreys with 100 yards, and a score. I mean, stellar numbers for Vanderbilt. I mean, I hate to say that like that, but I mean, we're not really used to seeing that kind of offense from them. Yeah, exactly. Saw a little flashes of it when Mike Wright was there, right before he took off, but we haven't really seen that until recently.
Yeah, so Vanderbilt falls to UNLV. Arkansas logs their first loss of the season, falls to 2-1 with an at-home loss to BYU, as our good buddy Uncle Lou likes to call them, the bicycle school. For those of you that have lost, the Brigham Young University is the largest Mormon university in the country, if not the only one. And the gentlemen that visit your house sometimes are known for riding around the neighborhood on bicycles. So Uncle Lou likes to call it Bicycle College. And that one touchdown in the fourth quarter made all the difference.
Sure did.
It was knotted up at 31 apiece going into the fourth quarter. Brigham Young scores that touchdown and snatches victory out of the jaws of defeat.
Yeah, if you look at a lot of these games, I know we're going to go through each of them, but I'm saying these are pretty high-scoring games for the SEC this weekend.
You know what I
mean?
100%.
In the skill positions on offense, Arkansas led in all stats. KJ Jefferson, 247 yards, the touchdown, but he had a pickle. Green, their running back, had 86 yards and 2 touchdowns, and the wide receiver Armstrong had logged in 98 yards. So Arkansas falls to BYU. Kentucky comes up big against Akron. I don't want to make light of it, but it is Akron of Ohio. This was a game they were supposed to win, and they beat them. They beat them. They were in cruise control the whole way. Wasn't a high scoring affair, but they scored enough to beat them. 1 touchdown per quarter for the first 3 quarters, and then 2 in the last quarter. Held Akron to a field goal for a final score of 35-3. Kentucky, Leary throws for 315, 3 touchdowns, the pickle. But still looks pretty good overall. Thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, but I mean, yeah, absolutely. And we always kind of, in my mind, I was wondering about their quarterback situation. As opposed to last year. We had I can't remember his name, but they had last year. Kentucky it wasn't Levis, was it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was okay. It was Levis. So yeah, I was kind of figuring. I was kind of wondering about
the guy that eats mayonnaise and bananas with the skin still on it.
I try not to think about stuff like that. I don't like mayonnaise anyway. It makes me want to, want me to sell Buicks over here. I don't want to do that. Thank you for talking about mayonnaise. Hold on one second. Did you see that they had that mayonnaise eating? I told you about that on the phone. Did they have
the mayonnaise eating contest the same weekend?
Yeah, these two fellas had a whole restaurant size of Duke's mayonnaise with a big old restaurant size spoon, and they were just going to town. And I'm just like, how in the world? I mean, goodness gracious. But anyway, yeah. No, I was thinking about the quarterback situation, but yeah, he balled out, like you said, 315, 3 touchdowns, interception, and both their running backs. Davis. He was on the ground for 72 yards, a touchdown. And in receiving, you had Davis. At 97 yards, a touchdown. So I mean, he pretty much stole the show. But yeah, I mean they didn't have any problem with Akron, which I didn't expect them to, but they look good. So I mean, again, we talking about SEC, we got to play them, down there on the schedule. It's nobody to really, no slouch, so we got to be prepared for them too. So
yeah, we do, and it's always a question of which Kentucky are we going to get, and we're actually playing in Kentucky, so No, I'm sorry. That's a home game. I stand corrected. Kentucky is coming to.
Ain't too many away games for it, brother.
Yeah, we don't have a whole lot of away games this year. We've got, as I'm looking at the schedule, 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 8 home games. That's insane.
Yeah, crazy.
That's absolutely insane. I know a lot of that had to do with the realignment of the schedules. There's some games we had to drop. I'm still salty about Ball State. That whole Ball State. Oh wow, Nick Chubb carted off the field.
Yeah, it looked bad too. It looked like he might be done. It was a knee injury.
Ooh.
You hate to see that from him, though, man.
You hate to see that because I swear to God, there's almost nobody on that squad that works harder than Chubb. We've seen the videos of him in the gym squatting 600 plus pounds with that bar almost bent in half.
Pretty much every play in the gym, probably. Every play in the gym has got on that bar.
Pretty much. Keeping action moving here in the as we go around the horn in the SEC. Auburn comes up with a nice little win over Samford. We know that Samford, we play them in a home game about every 2 to 3 years. Auburn served them up real nice stuff. They dropped 45 on them. The only time Samford scored, they did score 13 in the third quarter. Thorne got 282, 1 touchdown, but he threw 2 pickles. So that's he's got to be a little careful with that. But he also ran for 123 yards and 2 touchdowns. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, he's having himself. Sounds like he's having himself a blast down there in Auburn.
Yeah, it looks like it. Absolutely. Then you got your boy Jay Fair. He caught a few receptions for 93 yards. Yeah, it looks like they were spreading the ball around too. Look at all the receivers that touched the ball. One reception here, 2 receptions. It's like he spread it around too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're doing a great job of making sure everybody gets to play. Isn't that nice? I'm not gonna joke about them because we do have to play them and we do have to travel to Auburn, and that game is in 2 weeks. As a matter of fact, we
Yes, we
need to
do.
go ahead and find ourselves, like last year, we need to go ahead and line ourselves up somebody for the Auburn game, and we need to see if we can get our buddy Jeezy back on for the Tennessee game and see if he's willing to make any more bold predictions like he did last year. Uh,
Yeah, yeah. I've been keeping up with him on another. What was the other group that he's part of? SEC Focus, I guess it is.
yeah,
But yeah, he came out with the power rankings, and surprisingly, I didn't see him put Tennessee on that power ranking for the top 10 he's got there, and I wanted to ask him about that. I mean, the season's not over with. I mean, it's a tough loss. Don't get me wrong, but they could bounce back.
yeah, they can. They definitely can. Let's see what we got here. We're gonna get to that one in a minute. Texas A&M. Every time we think Jimbo Fisher is back on the hot seat, he pulls himself up out of it. The Aggies go to 2-1 with a 47-3 win over University of Louisiana Monroe, and it wasn't even close. Louisiana Monroe got one field goal in the second quarter. Double-digit scores for the Aggies in all four quarters, a 17-point second quarter. Wegman, 337 yards and a touchdown. Insane.
That's nuts. Yep, that's crazy. Like I said, man, these scores. I mean, 30 plus. I mean, I don't know anybody less than 30 points. I mean, like for the win. I think 29, Florida. Well, no, Alabama. Sorry. We'll get to that one. Sorry, I didn't mean to head you up there.
Now, don't get the hey, don't jump the gun now. Don't jump the gun. Don't
You know
get
me.
too far ahead of the.
Colin P got no patience, man. No patience. No patience.
So let's see who we got next. Shout out to our guy Sean Spencer, basically one half of the founding team of the Let's Talk Football family of podcasts, with which this podcast is a good friend and closely affiliated. Are we going to bring in somebody for the Auburn game? We're working on it, yes, sir. We were actually working on getting your Let's Talk Washington Football Weekly co-host on prior for last week's show, and our schedules just did not mesh. But we are definitely going to work on getting somebody in for the Auburn game. I actually have a couple of irons in the fire on that right now, and as soon as we solidify a guest, I will be making the announcement on who we'll be having on. Let's see what we got else going on. Ole Miss beats Georgia Tech. They double them up.
Yeah,
But here's the thing: they let Georgia Tech score 23 points.
Yeah, they did. I mean, but what was it? They let them what? Well, they spread out. So I mean, what is it? 3 in the second half, 7 in the third, and then they let them score twice in the fourth.
Well, here's another interesting stat. Jackson Dart was not the leading passer in this game. He was the leading rusher. He had 136 yards and 2 touchdowns, but he was not the leading passer.
No.
307 yards and 2 touchdowns for Mr. King of the Ramblin' Wreck, which is pretty doggone impressive. But the lane train. One thing about the lane train is you never know which one of their defenses is going to show up.
That's true. Yeah.
They can either smother you completely or cheesecloth.
Yeah, looks like Mr. King was kind of they shredding them up pretty good. I mean, with 307, looks like secondary. I mean, I didn't watch the game, unfortunately. I didn't get to watch too much of it, but I didn't know whether it was a secondary or they were dumping it off a lot. But that's huge yardage, man. 307, 2 touchdowns for Tech. That's another one.
Like I said, especially for Georgia Tech, because Georgia Tech is not. I mean, Georgia Tech has been kind of hit or miss, but I mean, Georgia Tech's in my recent memory, only because I don't really follow Georgia Tech like that. Georgia Tech's biggest passing attack they had was when that guy, that Hall of Fame guy that played football in Detroit forever, was playing football there. And the other guy that won the Super Bowl in Los Angeles with the Rams was still at Georgia then too. So that's how long ago it's been since they've been uber dominant. Since they've had an uber dominant passing attack. let's see, where are we now? And we have Ole Miss on the 11th of November. That is a home game as well at Sanford Stadium. Keeping it moving here. Those of you that are just joining us, if you're just tuning in, thank you so much for tuning in to This Week in UGA Football. I'm your host, Mr. Fingers. That is my co-host, Colin P. from the DMV. Right now, we're talking games around the SEC. Moving on along, Missouri gets by Kansas State in a squeaker. And guess who's 3-0 right now and undefeated in the conference?
Looks eerily familiar. You know what I mean?
It does, but you're talking about K-State. Didn't K-State play for the Big 12 championship last year against TCU?
I do believe they did.
Yeah. You're talking about a number 16 ranked Kansas State against Missouri. I don't think Missouri was favored in this game either. But they led in all offensive categories, passing with 356 yards.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot of rushing yards. It was 58 yards, so there wasn't a whole lot of ground. There wasn't a whole lot of ground and pound. And Luther Burden. I'm going to go ahead and say this. Luther Burden kind of jumped on our radar last year. I think he was one of our plays of the week with a punt return or something of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
And he took all the way to the house. Luther Burden is definitely making a big splash. Depending on how his season goes, I could maybe see him being a late first round to mid second round draft pick at wide receiver. Because I mean, he's a very, very solid wide receiver. He finished up the day with 7 receptions, 2 touchdowns for 114 yards.
Yeah, I mean, if he keeps getting these looks, I mean, like if Cook keeps targeting him, you said he's got 114 yards, two touchdowns, and Cook was, he was slinging it 356 for 2, touchdowns.
Yeah,
good gracious.
Not to mention this little tidbit right here, given us sent in by the Godfather. And believe it or not, sir, I actually did my homework. I was going to talk about that, but thank you for giving me the graphic to put up on the screen.
I don't believe that's true, is it?
Yeah, the longest. Oh my God, what is that?
Yeah, we're freezing a little bit. I think Mr. Goggles had one. What was it, 62 yards in the Rose Bowl, if I'm not mistaken. I think Goggles had one in the Rose Bowl. 62 yards.
Sorry about that. Sounds like somebody wants to chime in on the conversation. Got a pop-up ad out of nowhere just popped up, started playing Progressive. I don't know if you could hear that or not. But 61 yards. That's a leg. That is a leg right there. If you want to look that up real quick, I definitely will be. I will definitely be. Yeah, I was gonna say thank you, Sean. I got it, man. I'm actually on top of it today, but thank you.
What?
Nah, man, I appreciate you. I appreciate you because we do when we get rolling. We do like to have. I do like to try and keep a lot of notes here, and then I keep stuff up on the screen here in front of me so that I can talk about little tidbits from the game. But sometimes we get a roll going and we blow by key points and key things that happen during these games. So, but I actually did my homework today, sir. I do appreciate you. Feel free to keep dropping them comments though, because I like this as your lovely lady's favorite quarterback would say. I like that. I like that a lot. So
I have to apologize to Mr. Sean there. I apologize. It was 55 yards at the Rose Bowl. I apologize, but it said a Rose Bowl record. I apologize. You're right, sir. I apologize.
So let's see what else we got going on here. Where do we stop at? Missouri, Kansas State. Number 14, LSU. Easy work with Mississippi State. Gave Mississippi State their first loss of the year. They basically flipped scores. LSU 41, Mississippi State 14. Daniels with 361 and 2 touchdowns. Marks with 75 yards rushing. And Neighbors with 239 yards on 13 receptions for 2 touchdowns. Good God.
Good Lord have mercy.
Uh-oh, you get called out in the comments, sir. You're getting called out in the comments, sir.
I know. Hey. Come on, man.
Hey, Mr. Kramer, wait your turn. We coming around your direction. Hold on.
Be patient.
But hold on, but just hey, hold on.
I can't hate on that. But that was a heck of a kick.
Blankenship did make a 62-yarder, so look that up. He did make it. It wasn't for the SEC, but he did make one. Look it up. There's a video of that.
Yeah, and
I think it was NFL. I'm not sure.
Sadly, the greatest kicker in the history of University of Georgia football history is now searching for a team. I mean, he's second only. I mean, first the second best kicker would be probably Kevin Butler, more than likely, and that was again a 1980 veteran. You know,
yeah.
But Blankenship, one of the best kicker in the best place kicker in the history of the University of Georgia football program is currently looking for a team. He's a free agent. You know what though? You're very right, sir. Sean does make a very valid point that I don't think Mississippi State is the same after Mike Leach passed away. I mean, that man was everything to that program. He was everything to that program, and the air raid offense, and now they basically had to revamp their entire offensive scheme because that was Mike Leach's baby. You know, just put your guy back there and let him fling it around. Let him fling it around the yard.
And his ad lib and his talking and his, remember when the reporter asked him about marriage and that, when she was getting married, that kind of everything that he was talking about, it was comical. It was awesome to hear him speak. He was
one of those coaches. He's one of those coaches that you kind of waited with bated breath to see what he was going to say, just because he was always going to give you a nugget. And he was.
It wasn't a word answer. It wasn't a one word answer. It's going to elaborate.
Yeah, he was likable around the journalistic circle. So
for sure.
One time for Coach Mike Leach. Rest in peace.
I'm with you. Salute.
I'll come that way in a second. I'm coming back to that, Sean. I'll get to that, and I'll post that question when we get to it. But I got to talk about this one. Just because this next team, this loss, this is a team that has talked consistent smack to the Dogs year in and year out, whether they are at the top of the charts or whether their record barely sells 2 copies, whether they're platinum or they're cardboard, they are always talking aluminum. And much like, aluminum.
Aluminium.
Their record went saran wrap. Their record is cubic zirconium. And much like the 1980 jokes, this team is forever bringing up that Hail Mary pass. We all know the one with the music to Celine Dion, where they beat us in Athens. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about the Tennessee Volunteers. Jeezy, I'm going to clip this just for you. Where is it? 29-26. I'm writing that down right now. Hey, Godfather, make sure you write down 29-26 just in case I forget what I wrote down, even though I wrote it down. I got it right here. See, I wrote it down. But just in case, 29-26. This is just for you, Jeezy. They listen. Tennessee is if Texas is the biggest offender in the Big 12 of we're back syndrome every year, Tennessee is the biggest offender in the SEC of we're back every year. And they got off to a good start. Joe Milton, the kid's got a cannon for an arm, but he has a tendency to be a little inconsistent. He did wind up throwing an interception in this game. Tennessee goes down to the swamp and loses by 13 to Florida, 29-13. First loss of the year. Thank you, Sean. See, look it. Look, my man got me right there. Did I tell you? Did I tell you? Watch me hear my buddy man go. I said to my man, I said, Sean. He said, yeah, Mac, what's going on? I said, look here, man. I'm getting old. Man, have a hard time remembering stuff. You know what I'm saying? Got up the other night to go get some milk and cook. Just couldn't remember what I went in the kitchen. I said, look here. I'm going to give you this number. I need you to write it down. He say, what number you need, man? I said 29-26. Well, man, put it in the comments for me. It's right there. I ain't lying. I've been black a long time. You put it right in the comments so I can see it in big numbers. Anyway.
Man, I'm looking at these stats. I really didn't have a chance to look at this, but goodness gracious.
This has been another bad impersonation by Mr. Fickers. Etienne ran for $172. Come on, man, $172 against it. It's good. as good as Tennessee was last year. So here's the question: was Tennessee a fluke last year?
I wouldn't go as far as a fluke, but I mean, he was.
Well, let me fix that. Was the high level of success a fluke last year? Like, are they more of an 8-4 team or a 7-5, and they just had a really good year last year because of that combination of Hendon Hooker under center and Jalen Hyatt out there just
But would you
running around?
categorize that as a? Would you categorize that as such? Though I don't think I would.
Would
I mean, they beat Alabama.
have you not been paying attention to what was going on in Knoxville before last year?
Yeah, no, I was.
I mean,
sure.
they had brick. They was talking about, look, they were they were hurting so bad they were around there talking about bricks and trash cans, brick by brick.
Yeah.
I said, when they open a construction company, I said, what are you doing, boo boo? You opening a construction company or something? Like, for real.
But what happened after they beat Alabama? Well, I mean, what happened after Alabama?
They lost.
Yeah, a lot.
I forgot who they lost to. I heard that team won the national championship. Did I say that out loud? Hendon Hooker was a number, real talk, and Sean hit it on the spot. Again, my man Sean Spencer is dropping dimes. And look, he is the Klay Thompson to he is Klay Thompson to he is Scottie Pippen to Michael Jordan, Klay Thompson to Chef Steph. He's dropping dimes. Hendon Hooker was 100% the truth, and they lost all of that right there in the draft.
Yeah.
And
that's the conversation we had about the Heisman Trophy. I mean, like, he got overlooked because he got hurt like at the end of the year, right? So I mean,
right.
Where's Hyatt? Hyatt's gone, right? They still got Hyatt or no? Hyatt left.
No, he's gone too. He's in it.
He's gone too.
Both of their stud receivers went in the draft.
Yeah.
They lost the quarterback, the receivers, and I mean, you got to have somebody to watch the quarterbacks back. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Shoot. Coach Prime got people out here going, shoot. You got to have somebody to watch the DBs back too. Have you seen Coach Prime's bodyguard?
Yeah. He said,
that dude is like, if you took Debo, Kimbo Slice, and Bob Sapp, put all three of them together and jacked them up on whatever Barry Bonds and Mark McGuire was taking that season, that's his bodyguard.
Yeah, but you hear him say, give me about 5-10 feet. Let me move. Let me get, but you stay 10 feet from me, maybe 10 feet from me. Let me move.
He remind me, he's like that dude from Animal House, the one that walked up and said, "You boys mind if we dance with your dates?" That boy is something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, Florida pulls off a big one. So Sunbelt Billy lives to fight another day. Actually, right now, Florida is undefeated in conference play and 2-1. It's pretty. I'm gonna tell you something. It's crowded. We'll get to that a little later on in the show. But
let me just put this in there.
It's crowded in the East right now.
Yeah, that surprised me about Florida beating Tennessee the way they did. I was not expecting it. I did not expect this at all. I didn't expect that. I didn't expect them to expect them to roll over them, but I did not expect to see what I saw in the first half. With Florida and Tennessee, that Florida handled them.
It dropped 26 on them. They dehumanized Tennessee so badly in the first half that that they didn't even really need to score to win the game. They got a field goal in the fourth quarter, but even without that field goal, the score they still would have won by 10. That is how much they just demoralized Tennessee. It was insane.
Of in this game too, so.
It was insane. It was insane to see all that orange headed for the gates at halftime. It was absolutely insane. So we're gonna move on to this next game because we've been rattling on for a while. We're gonna get on to this next game, and then we're gonna talk about LSU real quick, and then we're gonna get into the game that you all wanted to see us talk about. Because trust me, we got stuff to talk about.
We got stuff to talk about.
So if you're a program. And you're one of the most top 5 dominant programs in college football over the course of the last decade plus. Do you really expect to lose or struggle against
a lower tier team?
Well, I would say no, but that's where things tend to turn around and bite you in the hind part. You know what I mean?
You are very correct, sir. I mean, we have seen this happen time and time again, and it seems to happen every single year, where some Cinderella team jumps up and beats Goliath and smacks Goliath in the mouth, and
Yes,
then
sir.
they rush the field. They might not win another game the entire season, but the fans rush the field and they party and they drink all night and they set stuff on fire, and that's their Super Bowl. That's
Yeah.
essentially their Super Bowl. So we were just talking about Florida. How about South Florida held Alabama? Mind you, not University of Alabama, Birmingham, not the University of South Alabama. Alabama, the Alabama, Crimson Tide, Bear Bryant, Nick Saban,
Mm-hmm.
host of running backs, host of wide receivers, host of quarterbacks, defensive players, national championships out the wazoo in the last decade and a half. They held the Alabama Crimson Tide to 3 points in the first half, which is pretty ironic given the fact that how many quarterbacks did they play Saturday?
How many did they play? 2. Well, Alabama you talking about?
Yeah, didn't they play 3 quarterbacks? Didn't they play all three of the 3 of them on the roster?
No, well, I just saw something on that. Who was that? Was it what's his name? Miles? I think he got set. The only ones that played were Ty Simpson and Buckner. The only 2. That's the only 2 they played.
Milroe started the game.
I don't believe so. There's no stats.
No. You're right. They benched Milroe. You're right.
They benched him.
They announced. You're right. You're absolutely right. They announced before the game that Milroe was going to be benched.
Yeah, and I just saw something on the press conference here about what Saban. I guess he was asked that question, and I think he sat him for. I'm not sure of the reason, but we can all kind of speculate, which is kind of not good to do. But I mean, I would say that he has some struggles, and I don't know whether Saban benched him to give him kind of the feeling of being benched and let him try to work himself out of it, or see how he would react. I mean, that's what the speculation is. But yeah, so I mean, they had Simpson and Buckner, and he was on the other guy was on the bench. So, but you're right though.
Well, allow me to amend my statement. They held Alabama in the first half to the exact number of quarterbacks that have gone out and played on the field this season. So, yeah,
and I can agree with Sean. So, I mean, I don't. Me personally, I mean, obviously, I'm not any coach by any stretch of the imagination. I don't want to be, but I'm a couch coach, if you want to call it that. But if you have a quarterback, you kind of need to stick with your guy, unless he's going. I mean, unless he's doing horrible and there's no kind of coming back. You know what I mean? Because I mean, if you keep plugging people in and out, that kind of stuff, it tends to create some issues. But I mean, what do I know? But I mean, I agree with what Sean's saying. They need to stick with him and work on his passing, that kind of stuff. But I mean, it's kind of hard work on if you start, throwing it to the other team. Then I mean, yeah, of course you're gonna get yanked. So I mean,
100%, 100% can't have you doing that. Can't have you doing that at all. So the long and short of it is that Alabama finally did wake up. The defense did. The defense did at least. I don't want to call it stop the bleeding because it wasn't like they were bleeding too badly. It's just such a shock to see Alabama held to 3 points.
It is absolutely it is.
And not only held to 3 points and a half, but held to 3 points and a half by South Florida. It's not like they were held to 3 points and a half by Georgia or Ohio State or Michigan or USC, the insert top tier team in the country in 2023 here. They were held to 3 points in the first half by South Florida. And it also speaks volumes to the level of talent at quarterback in that game, that the leading passer passed for 87 yards, and it was not from Alabama.
Right. Yeah. And that's something we haven't seen from Alabama. Usually, it's next man up. They've usually got a stable full of guys that that are whatever you want to call them, 5 stars.
Yeah, Colin. We know you 2017. We remember.
yeah. We didn't remember that. So when they brought in,
we don't want to remember it,
but people will not let us forget it, despite the fact that we won a couple of national championships since then. But they you know, but that's the argument now. That's the
Well, the
argument now
reason,
when we're talking football with other college football fans, and they said, well, we won a couple national championships just since then, and you know, we're still ranked the number one team in the country and got the longest winning streak and the longest home winning streak in the SEC, and they go, well, Bama beat you in overtime or whatever it was. Okay.
it's like Chris Tucker, why are you bringing up old stuff? I ain't worried about the past. I'm working on the future. Look ahead,
Yeah.
not behind.
Yeah, 100%. So that was around the horn, ladies and gentlemen. We did run a little long with that, but there's a lot to talk about. And that actually leads us to a question before I go into our first commercial break. That leads me to a question. You saw some of the scores this weekend. Y'all watched the college football games just like we did. By the way, if you're just joining us, thank you for joining us this week in UGA football. I'm Mr. Fingers. That's Colin P. We're talking UGA football. We just got done doing our Around the Horn segment. Around the Horn. I believe that is a copy written by a 4-letter network somewhere. Do not come for us. Oh, my God. No, don't come for us. We just finished our Around the SEC segment, but I got a question to ask you, man. What's going on with all the slow starts? Like, there's something that has become endemic this year. It's almost endemic throughout the conference. These slow starts, and it didn't apply to everybody this weekend, but just to run through some of these real quick, just the games that we talked about. The slow starts out the wazoo. Kentucky's playing Akron. They scored 1 touchdown per quarter. They scored 1 in the first, 1 in the second. That's it. They finally woke up and put 21 on the board, and they didn't let Akron score. But if Akron had a decent squad, they were within striking distance. Let's see. Arkansas is okay. They put up 24 in the first half. Vanderbilt would let get a slide because they not only they put up 17 in the first half. Auburn, even Auburn, they were playing Furman. I'm not Furman. Oh my Lord, they were playing Sanford. I listen. I'm still on that Georgia Southern tip with Georgia Southern and the Furman Purple Paddling that used to do battle for the national championship every year.
Yeah.
Auburn only scored 17 on Sanford. They scored not at all in the first quarter. Let's see who else got off to a little bit of a slow start. Ole Miss only had a 10-point first half against Georgia Tech. Mississippi State only scored 7. Now, granted, they were playing LSU. And Alabama got held to 3 points against South Florida. And we only scored 7 points against South Carolina in the first half. What's going on with the slow start? I haven't. Go ahead.
No, I've got a question for your question. All right. So, there was several, I guess there were a couple of rule changes, right? So, it was the, like Sean says right here, but the rule changes, right? The clock don't stop, you know what I'm saying? When the first downs, that kind of stuff, right? I think that was implemented this year.
Okay.
So that could have been some of that. And you got a lot of transfers. Like Sean said, maybe, other than that, I don't have an answer. And it's really kind of, it's odd. Like, it's very odd. Like, it's not as fast as it usually is. Somebody's always, always up by 14 points in the first quarter or something like that. Or either it's a shootout or, like you were talking about, something that's just real slow. But I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
I don't have a definitive answer, but
Well, for me, the reason that I'm asking that question, I'm asking just because I was wondering if I was just missing something. I had not considered the new rules with the clock. But the transfer, and I'm not to knock your answer, Sean, but transfer portal's been around for a while, and there have always been coaching carousels. It's just odd to see. Well, I definitely. I'm going to go ahead and say it where Georgia is concerned. 2 words. Mike Bobo. Yeah. Mike Bobo. Say my name. Who said my name? Mike Bobo.
Hey, I've been giving him the benefit of the doubt, dude. So,
I'm just curious. Like, my theory was, at least in Georgia's case, that Kirby just got tired of all of these, these key players getting hurt in the first 3-4 weeks when they're playing the cupcakes, because these guys come out and they go 180 miles an hour. You've let them off the leash after they've been training since back in January, or not January, since since all the returning players that are not going in the draft or not graduating or that have not used all their eligibility, these guys have been going at it since March, April, and they finally let off the leash in September, and they go out there 2 plays into the first game that blow an ACL, or tear an Achilles, or or roll out a shoulder or something. So my thought process was, hey, look, we're good enough to beat this team. Don't let it get out of hand, but give them just enough to not let them get too far ahead. And then second half, we'll cut you loose. We'll open the throttle up a little bit. We'll take this thing home. And if that is the case, that's a very dangerous game that's being played, because at any given time, any team can jump up and pop you in the face, and you can't recover.
Well, not to mention, you just said that.
Case in point, Florida and Tennessee. Tennessee scored 26 points to Tennessee's. Florida scored 26 points to Tennessee's 7.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, it's all well and good when you're playing a Ball State, UT Martin, AUAB, or somebody like that. But I mean, if you think they're doing that against South Carolina and you think they're doing it against anybody in the SEC, that right there, you're talking about a recipe for disaster. I'm like, I wouldn't give anybody that short of a stick or any of that kind of leeway to get up a couple scores. There's no way in hell. There's no way I'd do that.
I agree with you 100%. The reason that I agree with you on that is, in our case, after next week, the gloves are off. We play UAB, and then it is conference play all the way down until our final game of the season against the Yellow Jackets of Georgia Tech. So that was just what I wanted to get on with that there. Real quick, just to touch on the LSU, to answer your question, Sean, is LSU legit outside of outside of that opening day loss? I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I think so. We had a good laugh at Brian Kelly with the family. We had a good laugh at that, and his little quote when he talked to sideline reporters is, "I don't know, we can't get any worse." He almost tried to say, he almost tried to say, "Hey, He almost used to, "Hey, it's my first day." You know how you get a job. You've been wanting a job so long, and you get a job, you get out there your first day, and you're just overwhelmed, and they're like, "What is wrong with you?" Like, "I'm sorry, I'm new." You just throw that out there. It's like you just pray it gets you some sympathy. He's like, "Hey, it's my first game. We can't get any worse, can we?" But he definitely turned that season around. He's made some smart roster moves. He brought in some good coaching staff. He's brought in some good athletes, and
if you watch that game. Bro, if you watch that game, Daniel was in fuego. That boy was. I mean, he was throwing darts. Like the passes that he was throwing. I mean, the windows were like this, dude. I mean, and he was hitting.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you this, and then we're gonna touch on this, and then we're gonna move on because we're running a little long on this. I think LSU is going to win the West again this year.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Yep.
I think LSU wins the West again this year, and that maybe, I'm not saying that would cause a certain coach in Tuscaloosa to retire, but I think given the fact that this is the last year for the time being, until 20 years from now somebody decides to change things again, this being the last year they're going to be divisions, I think a lot of people that don't know football are going to be calling for Nick Saban's head. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think LSU wins the SEC West this year.
What?
I mean, if they look like that, I mean, in their quarterback situation, I just don't know.
Yeah, and to mind you now, to any of you Alabama fans that are watching, let me make sure that this is understood. As far as I am concerned, the feud is over. We good. Ain't no more beef. I mean, we still, duke it out on the gridiron when we play each other. But I'm not dogging. I'm not saying anything. Nick Saban is a phenomenal coach. He's done an incredible job with that program. He's just been churning out. The whole reload theory. He's been reloading and reloading and reloading. But I think looking at what you all have in the stable, I cannot honestly say, after having seen all three quarterbacks play, that there's any talent, enough talent on that roster under center to guide that team to win the next
8. Wait a minute, played 3 games already to win the next 9 games.
Yeah,
win the division and get into the conference championship. I just don't see it. That's just my
I
2
don't know,
cents.
but you know my favorite saying. So I mean, I know you don't have it,
Yeah.
but
No, I know I've got it, and I tried working it out. I don't know what the glitch is. This platform got taken over by Streamlabs. I was originally streaming on Melon app, but now Melon app has been taken over by Streamlabs. They've taken over a whole bunch of streaming platforms.
gotcha.
So I don't know what's going on now. So, when I'm not on the air, when we're not on the air, all of these little clips, they play just fine. As soon as we go on the air, every clip takes 20, 30 minutes to come through. Is it over? All things equal at this point, Sean. I won't say it's over. I mean, there's going to have to be. I feel like there would have to be some major adjustments made at that quarterback position, and maybe some different blocking schemes and things of that nature to give the quarterback a better chance at success. And I find it hard. I mean, if anybody can do it, it's Nick Saban. But you're also talking we're in week 4.
Yeah.
So
But figures
if it means they have to totally revamp something, probably yes. If it means a tweak here and there, then it's possible. Like Kevin Garnett says, anything is possible. But
well, the thing with
go ahead.
fingers is like you and I can agree this is unorthodox for the Alabama program for quite some time, right? So we don't really know. I mean, like I agree with you. If it could be easily, if things could easily be corrected, then that's another story. If things need to be totally revamped, I mean, that's definitely unorthodox for Alabama since, Saban has taken over the program. So, I mean, that's the last time it's happened because, I mean, when he took over, he overhauled, everything. It was his way or the highway, that kind of thing. And he basically made the program, for what it is now. So, I mean, this is uncharted territory for Alabama. They're not being number one, the king of the hill, that kind of stuff, and them beating the brakes off people. And so this is kind of an uncertain kind of, territory for everybody outside looking in. I mean, but
definitely uncharted territory. So, I see what's going on here. We got some cache issues. Here's what's going on. It says that Google Chrome is using an awful lot of memory, and as such, that is what is causing all the slowness and the lag and everything else. Any hoodles, we're gonna keep this thing moving. Where are we right now? We are gonna move on with this. This is what you come to see. South Carolina travels to Athens, home of the Dogs. Those slow starts we were talking about, the Dogs were there. The Dogs, it was another slow start for the 3rd week in a row for the Dogs. Again, no Lad McConkey, out with an undisclosed back injury that is day-to-day, which basically is Kirby Smart speak for you might see him next week or you might not see him until the playoffs, a la George Pickens. That has become a Kirby special. Guy gets hurt, probably ready to go in week 3 or 4. Kirby keeps him on ice until the rubber meets the road.
Yeah.
Essentially. So Georgia does get a W, but does not look exceptionally impressive doing it. Carson Beck, 27-35, 269, 0 TDs. That's very telling.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like this game. For me, this game was a tale of 2 halves. The first half, all South Carolina. Second half, all Georgia. As a matter of fact, before I even get into what the Dogs did, I want to go ahead and where is it? I had the stats up for Rattler. Rattler, I'm just going to say this. We talked about Spencer Rattler for 3 years on this program. When it first started with Sean and I as a host, and then when Colin came on as a host, Spencer Rattler, we witnessed Spencer Rattler had his growing up. Yeah, like it was almost, for me, having watched him from his freshman year at OU, it was like a coming out game for him. Yeah. Because, he went through Saturday what we saw him go through week after week after week at Oklahoma before he got yanked for Caleb Williams. What we did see this time, what we did not see this time was Spencer Rattler hanging his head Spencer Rattler looking like he'd rather be any place else than on that field.
Right.
Spencer Rattler kind of sitting on the sidelines looking relieved he got yanked. That man stood in the pocket and had those defenders bearing down on him. I watched him the entire second half. Those guys were going to truck him. I saw him sit in the pocket and throw dime after dime after dime. He had, I mean, it wasn't necessarily his best game statistically, but in terms of gut and grit and intestinal fortitude, Spencer Rattler, I'm gonna give you one. I'm gonna give you one of these, sir, because I was not a believer when you were in Norman. I'm gonna give you one of these. I sincerely hope that somebody is taking a look at what you are putting on the field now, as opposed to what you were doing and your professional growth, as well as your all of that. I hope. I used to say, man, ain't nobody gonna draft this kid. I hope you get in the league, and I hope somebody takes a flyer at you, because there's a team somewhere that could use a guy with that kind of grit.
Yeah. No, I mean, we talked about him and that kind of stuff, and I think it was a kind of a humbling experience. I don't know if he thought it was going to be a cakewalk when he came to the SEC, and I'm not beating my chest about how the SEC conference is. I mean, it is good. Don't get me wrong. I don't know if it's better than whatever. It means more, that kind of stuff. But I think he actually turned it around himself, and actually has grown exponentially. From the time that he left, USC came here. You know what I mean?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh at you, bro. I thought for a minute you pulled a DI and said Ti and said he grew
not expeditionally.
He grew expeditionally.
No, not expeditionally.
Exponentially. First and foremost, the young man went out there and did his thing. He realized he had his growing up to do. He did it expeditionally. He did it on the field, did it on the football field today. That's what he did. That is a very bad Ti. I have not listened to Ti's talk enough to do that impersonation.
Come on, Shawty.
But you know, at some point he's gonna throw expeditiously in there.
Yeah. But I mean, I agree with you. Talking about Rattler, though. I mean, like, I know I kind of gave him a bit of grief coming to the SEC and saying that it should be easier, coming from where he came from, and and it wasn't necessarily the case. But I think he's grown quite a bit, and like you said, he was standing in the pocket. Things may go his way, may not, but I mean, he did show poise and that kind of stuff. But and like Sean said, I mean, like, he did have 2 picks, but I mean, he had 256 yards.
Yeah,
touchdown. But I mean, like you said, the only weapon he had was a receiver. I mean, it looked great for them in the first half, and then, like I said, I think Kirby went in there like Will Ferrell on old school and started slinging chairs, and I can picture that. I can picture a couple bombs being, F-bomb being thrown around there. And
Kirby's good. Kirby's good for at least 2 or 3. Kirby's good for at least 2 or 3. I mean, 3 games in a row. Dawgs off to a slow start.
Well, one thing I want to throw in there is, like, we always talk about, how we were. We're always a one-half team, right? It's either first half or second half. And it kind of looks like I don't want to say it's already back that way, but that's what concerned me about this game. You know what I mean? Like, we were just kind of ho-hum first half, then second half turn it on. Now, as well as I do, we can't do that to some teams. We've got to be.
We absolutely cannot.
Yeah, foot on the neck. You can't move it. Foot on the neck, keep it.
Like I said, after next week, the gloves are off. It is flat out. It is a flat out SEC death march to the end of the season until we get the reprieve against Georgia Tech. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. I think one thing that definitely is a big difference is with Branson hurt and with Dejon out. Those were our 2 main running backs. So they kind of fell to Cash Jones and to Bell, and they tried to run a couple of the Brock Bowers tight end jet sweep. Carson Beck you're right, Sean. It's taking him a while to get in the rhythm. It's not like he's coming out and it's not like he's coming out in 2-3 passes. He's locked in. I
Right.
say what you want to say about Stetson Bennett for those people that were detractors. One thing about Stetson is Stetson came in there, he chucked a couple of balls around and went around and okay, this is where this guy's gonna be on this route, this is where this guy's gonna be on
Ready
this
to go.
route. I'm solid, let's go. Let's go. And he's locked in for the rest of the game. It's taken him a while to get in there. And you know what? Maybe I didn't see enough on him in his garbage time play. Maybe I put a lot of stock in him as a starting quarterback because every time he went in, he was playing during garbage time. We're up by 30, 40 points. You know, the opposing coach has probably pulled his first string and don't want to take any chance on anybody getting hurt. It's like, all right,
Or they haven't let him loose. I mean, or they maybe haven't let him loose, and that that's a concern.
We know to address what you said earlier. We can't blame it all on. You know, I'm not really blaming it on Bobo. We have experience with Mike Bobo, and unless he's undergone a serious enlightening, we haven't really seen a whole lot different from Bobo. Just as a case in point, there was a lot of passes in the flats. I didn't see a whole heaping heck of a lot of passes that were more than 5 to 10 yards downfield.
Yeah,
I know there were some, but a lot of them was passing the flats right, passing the flats left, running back up the middle, passing the flight right.
shots
We're gonna give the ball to Brock Bowers. And speaking of Brock Bowers, why is it that Brock Bowers is all of a sudden is no longer a vital cog in this offense? Or again, they might be trying to keep him healthy, but why is he not a cog in this offense? What's going on with that? That guy is our most dangerous weapon.
well, I mean,
one of our most dangerous weapons. Like he was.
But is he covered? Is he covered? I didn't really see him being covered as much.
7 receptions for 54 yards on Saturday. He's got 135 yards on the season. I did some number crunching. Last year, Brock Bowers caught for a little over, 942 yards in 12 regular season games. So right now he's caught 13 receptions for 135 yards. If you crunch the numbers and they keep throwing the ball to Brock Bowers at this pace, he will finish the season with 516 yards. Now tell me that's not a serious drop off of productivity for one of our prime weapons. Even in the first game, you could see they just couldn't stop him.
Yeah.
Your other guys are hurt. I know you don't want to run that one guy in the ground, but you got Edwards back. He ran for 118 yards and 118 yards and touchdown. Cash Jones, I guess because he's little, and I'll go ahead and say it, because he's a little white dude. People don't think he's got some wheels. He gets out there and he does his thing. Another weapon, another key cog back. Not a whole lot of yards, but Marcus Roseby Jack Saint. Welcome back, sir. We appreciate you. Welcome back to the Dog Pound.
Glad to see you.
Yeah, definitely. And that's if this is going to be what we are going to get from our offensive coordinator, then we need to just go ahead and prepare ourselves that there's going to be a lot of games that we all looked at, not just Colin and myself, but other people looked at it and went, man, they got a cupcake schedule that we're going to have to hold our breath and see until the clock hits 0.
For sure.
You know what I mean? What do you got to say to that, man?
Well, no, I'm with you, and I kind of have a question. I mean, I need to kind of look at the game a little bit more intently for South Carolina, but I didn't notice any kind of double covered, double covering Bowers, anything like that. I'm sure everybody knows about him by now. Knows about what he can do, and seeing what he can do by now. So they're going to have 1, 2, 3 people in his on him at all times, or at least eyes on him. You know what I'm saying? So I mean that could impact his numbers, but it's just I mean I'm just as surprised as anybody, but that he's not been targeted. But then again, you got to look at the relationship between him and Carson. Stetson and Bowers, you could tell. Like I mean, I'm not saying that was his first. His eyes hit Bowers first, but I mean, you knew that Stetson could put the ball anywhere in his vicinity. He was going to bring it down. I'm not saying it's not going to happen now, but does Carson have that kind of pinpoint, accuracy or wherever that he needs to go? Is he comfortable throwing those types of passes to Bowers? I don't know, but I'm just surprised you are. He's not being targeted. But then again, I'm worried. I want to know.
You know what? You bring up a good question. Maybe he's not as comfortable. I think Stetson was the guy that said, "F it, Brock is down there somewhere," and put it up there, and knowing with all faith that he would bring it down. He was the guy that would say, "Okay, it looks like it's going to be a traffic jam, but if I go, and boom, there it is." And
same situation with O though. He would do the same with O. Same thing with O.
Big O. All you had to do was just put the ball in Big O's hands, and he's gonna truck at least one person and then try. I'm sorry, I know the hurdle has become a big thing in college football, but Big O is what y'all. Man,
that's all the way
Big O. Darnell Washington is one of the funniest dudes to watch trying to hurdle somebody because he's like 8 foot, 7 foot 12.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You ever watch a tall dude try to skip over a chair? That's Darnell Washington trying to jump over. And these defenders, it's not like these defenders are little dudes. He's jumping over 6'3" linebackers.
You know what I said? Like Rush Hour said, I am not Carl Lewis. Me around jumping
God, man. You're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me. So yeah, I want that. That's what I want to see. What I want to see next week, because next week is the last warm-up game before we go into conference play. Because we play Auburn the week after.
Yeah.
I want to see them let Carson Beck cut loose. Open it up and cut loose. Oh, and by the by, here's another.
Oh, yeah.
What is that all about?
He's a freshman, dude. He's a freshman.
I don't care.
I don't give a good gosh darn.
I don't care. I do not care. I do not care. Look, there was a boy from I forgot where came on the scene, walked up on the field, told the coach he wanted to play. The coach said, if you want to play, you're gonna get you some different glasses. He went and got some glasses. They started calling the man goggles, and the boy kicked the ball all the way from the north end of campus to the south end of campus until he got a scholarship. They can find somebody to kick. You can do better than that. I know you're a freshman.
Hey, off of this kicker, but maybe golf. Who's the kicker that's 31 years old? Who's it play for? 31 years old, got like 3 kids or something. I saw something today. It's a college kicker, and he's from England, I think.
Oh, Nick Cannon. I mean,
Nick Cannon. He got more than 3 kids.
I would just go on with the first 3. I know he got more than that. But I know who you're talking about. They went out and got a kicker from Europe or something like that. I don't remember his name, but yes, I know exactly.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, but I'm with you. We need somebody to kick the rock through the uprights. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, like he went 1 for 3, and then he was perfect for the extra points. Which that's all well and good. All well and good.
Dude, watching him kick, my first thought was after he missed that last field goal, my first thought was, please Jesus, don't let us be in the conference championship or the CFP and the game come down to a field goal.
Right.
We had all faith and trust in Rodrigo Blankenship. Had all faith and trust in Jack Podlesny.
Yeah.
This dude, kiddo, you look, I'm a Dog fan. But every time you step on the field, I'm from Missouri. You got to show me.
Hey, you know how we can remedy that? Don't worry about that. Just score touchdowns. Don't have to worry about no field goal. Just score touchdown. You can get. We ain't got to worry about no field goal.
Hey, Deacon Colin P, I need you to say that again for the people in the back that's falling asleep because they fell out of they ran out of them.
We ain't got to worry about field goal if we scored a touchdown. 6 points, 7 points, a bunch. Whatever that's in there.
6 foot, 7 foot, 8 foot
bunch. Yeah, there you go. I know I'd get it wrong.
Them folks, I wanted you to say that again because the folks in the back fell asleep because we ran out of them Martin Luther King fans. The fans. So, yeah. But I mean, overall, we're glad that we got the win. We will never turn down a W. But as a realistic fan, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I am confident that Georgia will be able to sustain the season undefeated, especially a crucial game that they cannot lose, i.e. a conference championship game,
yeah,
i.e. i.e. a conference championship game, i.e. a CFP game, i.e. a national championship game, playing at the pace and at the style that they're playing right now. Georgia has got to. I mean, they've got to. Coach Kirby's got to figure out a way to rally the troops, because this does not look like. I mean, a couple of weeks ago when we did the season prediction, we was like, oh yeah, we should run the table. Right now, after seeing what I saw this past weekend and all of those other teams, some of which we're going to play.
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
somebody
never
might
a
sneak
run
up
table
on
guy.
us.
I was never
Somebody
a run table guy this year. So
now I will say this. The defense is still, exactly, a rivalry game, because we still playing Auburn, which is a rivalry game. We still playing Florida, which is a rivalry game, and Florida shocked the world on Saturday, and Auburn is undefeated. And right now, like I said, the East is wide open right now, because there's a lot of undefeated teams in the East. There's a lot of undefeated and one-loss teams in the East. I think Vanderbilt is the only team with 2 losses, and that's only because they played in week 0. Well, also because they lost 2 games. I mean, they could have played in week they could have played in week 0 and won all their games and been 4-0, but they've lost 2 games. But everybody else in the East got 1 loss or no losses, and there's a lot of no-loss teams on the other side of the fence too. Georgia cannot afford a oops. We can't.
No, I mean this game, honestly, dude. This game. I mean the score. I mean I'm happy about the score, but it's not indicative of what the game was. Like I mean the first half is it looked like the past 2 years we got over that hump where we play actually more times than not play four complete quarters of football.
Yes,
looks like we're kind of going back to our old selves, and I'm not saying it's Bobo's fault. I'm just saying it looks like you're getting complacent and you're playing. First half, we'll come back, no problem. That's kind of what I feel like.
Well, that was the 2017 team, and that's what bothered me. Because remember how many times that Jake Fromm had to scramble with them them concrete bricks with feet that he had running down the field. I mean, God bless him. God bless him. The boy had a heck of a season that year, but
he did that year.
Next year, he did that. I don't know. Maybe the magic dust ran out, or they ran out of Michael's special juice.
I have no idea.
They were playing the Toon Squad. They ran out of Michael's special juice. So I think that might be. I believe you hit it right on the head, man. After last year and the year before, we got used to seeing at some point, like week 3 or 4, we got used to seeing the Dogs play 4 quarters of football. The defense made it their mission. Nobody scores on us.
Exactly.
The offense made it their mission. We're going to try and score every time we have the ball. Yeah. And that was the recipe for success. Now, if we second half our way into the CFP and second half our way into winning a national championship, I'll still be happy for it. But Lord knows, I'm gonna have to make sure that I'm stocked up on all my blood pressure medicines and everything.
I mean, I honestly do that.
Be able to have my wife hiding in the bedroom talking about it. I liked it better when y'all was winning.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think we're gonna have one lose. I don't think I'll be no more. But I think
when y'all lose. Wait a minute. No, I know my wife ain't gonna say nothing like that. You know what I can see my wife say to me? She say, "So how much money did they take out of your paycheck at work?" What you mean? You acted like you gonna lose. You acted like you get paid for coaching the game. That is something my wife would say to me.
Oh yeah.
But so let's keep this thing moving on along. We again want to thank those of you that have stuck with us for so long. We're running a little over tonight this week in UGA football. So who's on tap? UAB 1-2 UAB, and I don't want to discount UAB, but this is a game. If there is at any point in this season that Georgia needs to step up and play 4 quarters of football and show me 4 quarters of complete football, it is this coming Saturday. Because if they cannot muster 4 quarters of football against UAB, because I venture to say UAB is probably the most cupcake out of the cupcakes we played to open the season.
Yeah.
Okay. if they can't get up for this game against UAB, I'm not saying they can't win the championship, but I'm saying that it's going to be a wild ride, y'all. Dogs fans, if they go out slouchy against UAB, you might as well go ahead and take yourself some Dramamine and some your anti-anxiety meds because it's going to be. No, listen, Sean. I'm not saying that. Oh yeah, it is UAB. Yeah, we're playing UAB next week. Is this the fast track?
It's crazy because we played Ball State, UT Martin, and then we have South Carolina thrown in there, and now we got UAB. So I honestly, dude, I think that's kind of messed up too because that's a recipe for us to be complacent and that kind of stuff. Because we had a tough game against South Carolina. Now we're going to play somebody that historically is not that great. We're going to probably. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it gives them the opportunity to fall back and not play worth it down, to their potential and that kind of stuff. But then after that, here we go. There's the SEC, and it's all day, every day.
Well, my response to Sean's question, I don't think that was the original plan. I know a lot of things had to be shuffled around in a hurry for whatever reason. I know that 2 weeks ago we were supposed to play Oklahoma, and that game was swapped out for Ball State because there was the whole, we're not going to be able to get the home and home right now with all the conference realignment. And I think in the process of realigning that I don't quote me on it. I may have that wrong. That may have been something else, or that may have been some games they realigned for the 24 season. But I think they also realigned some other games as well. So there may have been some shuffling of the deck to make up for some of these games they had scheduled that they were worried about with the conference realignment. But yeah, really, it should be seriously. These fellas should be able to show up on roller skates and go out and play on grass and win on Saturday.
Yeah. And hope we don't have no injuries. Play hard, but don't play. Don't kill yourself because we're gonna need you, bro.
Yo, there's nothing worse than getting an injury against a team like UAB. Could you see that? You going back on campus, the girls like, oh my gosh, did you hurt your shoulder? Oh my God, did you hurt your shoulder playing Alabama? Yeah, well,
Birmingham.
University of Alabama, Birmingham. You gonna be a third rounder. Get away from me.
What is that?
Bruh, do you even football? So anyway, that's who we've got on deck. We were going to take a little short commercial break. Right into the 2-minute warning. Hey, folks, I don't have anything for my 2-minute warning this week other than fall is coming. The weather's starting to cool off. Enjoy yourself. Have a great weekend. That's all I got for you. Have a great rest of your week and have a great weekend. Colin, what you got for the 2-minute warning?
Yeah, dude, I'm the same way. I'm happy football's here, regardless of who we playing, what we're doing, how we're playing. Playing great, playing not so great. I'm just happy it's on TV, watching all these good games. And hey, you know what? The Braves are the NL East champs. The Falcons are 2-0, and the Dogs are 2-0.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Brother, it was a great weekend for Georgia sports last weekend. The Dogs won.
And you got a cooler with 200 hits.
Dogs won. My Tigers of Savannah State won. And oh, by the way, did you see those Shay Shay? Shay Shay said he gonna try and take down to Savannah State for homecoming. Now, personally, as one of the few Shay Shay impersonators in the South that is actually doing Shay Shay impersonations, I actually would like to put in a request to Shay Shay that they hold off on bringing Club Shay Shay back to the college battle seat until the following season because I know that I will not personally be able to attend. I would love to be able to run up on you in the student center somewhere and talk smack to you and run you off the pool table like you did me 30 some odd years ago. That's all I got. That's all I got to skip Stephen A. Collins. That's all I got.
Oh my gosh. I love it.
Let me see. I'm gonna have to go. Deshaun sent me things say clip that. I'm just gonna go back to 1 minute, 1 hour, 10 minutes, and 45 seconds, and just clip that moving forward to 1 hour, 20 minutes, and 53 seconds. We have been on here for way too doggone long. We appreciate y'all tuning in. Y'all please have a great week. We will see you again next week. But until then, I have been Mr. Fingers.
That is Colin P from the DMV talking UGA football with me. You guys be good to yourselves and good to each other. We will see you next week, and hopefully we will have heard the bell ring one more time in Athens. We'll see you next week. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
All right, so Pete, we appreciate you tuning in and watching these videos. Me and Colin will be back every Monday, every Thursday, right on this very channel. Like what you see, hit the like button. Want to get the notifications, hit the subscribe button. Want your peoples to know, hit that share button and send it all across the internet. We appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in. We'll be back next time. We'll see you then. Go Dogs.